Hey YouTube friends, back here in the garage with my favorite flannel shirt on, getting ready to do a little more work on the old Model A. Today, we're going to take on Operation Be Able to Have a Conversation in the car while it's running. Follow along. Alright, so this whole Model A, when I put this thing together, I didn't put official exhaust on it. I just kind of ran some of these header inserts in the lake style headers, and you can see in here just what I'm dealing with. It's just a little bitty guy, and it goes back to about this burn line right here. It's just a small insert with some holes in it that kind of, well, it just baffles and kind of muffles the noise that those headers would make. I guess they'd be open headers otherwise, and that'd get pretty annoying. They work. They haven't been pulled over, and they do tend to bring the car noise level down just a little bit, but I still can't talk to anybody in the car. It's unless it's just idling and you're not moving. It's pretty darn loud. This sucker, as you can imagine, cranks some pretty good noise out, and probably more than the amount of noise it makes is where it is, where in relation to one's ear, it's not very good. And I like to take my kids in the car with me and my wife, and I like to talk to my wife. I like to hear what she's saying, and I don't want my kids to be deaf because of my hot rod hobby. So today, I got to start the project of building exhaust for this thing. Yeah, it's going to be a pain, but we got to get it done. Here's what I got. I'll be honest, I went and I ordered a kit of 2.5-inch pipe, and I laid under this car for 2 days with it, going back and forth on how to make that fit, and it was just going to be way too tight with 2.5-inch pipe. So I sent it back. And I got 2.25-inch pipe, and then hopefully that will work for me, because what I want to do is I want to run the exhaust out of the dumps, out of the bottom of these headers here, where I just got these big caps on them. I want to run it, turn it in underneath the car, straight back, up over the axle, and then I want it to exit the car straight out here between the tail light and the license plate on each side. Yeah, what do you guys think? Go ahead and throw a comment down below right now. Let me know what you guys think of that plan and see if it'll work. Yeah, so here's what I got. I got this pipe off of like Amazon. It was really cheap. I think it's like 120 bucks for all this stuff. I got all sorts of bends, 90s, 45s, 180s, and then I have, I think, four 4-foot sections of straight, which I don't have 16 feet of car, no matter how you slice it or double it, that I need to use it. So I got a feeling I'm gonna have some left over that. And let's get into the mufflers themselves. Here's what I plan on running in this thing for the muffler. Good old glass packs, right? Some Thrush, 27-inch, 2.25-inch diameter. Well, they're cherry bombs, actually. And when I was growing up in the little town I grew up in, this was cool. This was the way to go, run cherry bombs. Of course, in the town I grew up, a 7-course meal was a dead jackrabbit and a 6-pack. But nonetheless, I've as much refining as I've gotten, I still want to run these on the car because how much room they take up, okay? They're pretty narrow, and underneath this Model A, there's not a lot of real estate to work with. So these things work pretty good because they don't take up a wide footprint, and I have plenty of room for them to go lengthwise, just not a lot of widthwise for like a traditional turbo muffler or whatever. So, all right, let me give you the route of where this exhaust needs to run here underneath the car. So we're going to come off the header like this, and I want to be able to come down and nice as tight as I can turn underneath the body. We got to get around this brake booster, or past it anyway, which should be fine. And then I want it to kind of tuck up underneath here. But I got to be mindful of my brake light switch wiring and my line lock. And then I want to, well, so I might come in a little bit closer this way, or maybe come around and turn in close to the drive line. And then it'll shoot straight back from there. And that's where I run into my next challenge, is shooting through that hole right there between the upper forelink and the coilover shock. On that side, I've got a fuel line I got to deal with, and on this side, I've got my brake line T. So that's gonna have to move. What a pain. Yeah. So you can see some of the obstacles I got to deal with to make this happen. But I'm going to tackle it just one little bit at a time. We're going to start right here at the header, and I'm just going to start working my way back you know, routing it where I want it to go, one little piece at a time, and then get it to where it's right in front of the axle, and probably right there I'll probably end up having to do like a joint so that I have, you know, the piece that'll go over the axle that'll separate from it. But it should be fun. I gotta get started. Let's stop talking, let's start doing. Alright guys, tell me what you think. The initial mock-up here. I'm totally kidding. I can't even say that with a straight face. I would never do that. Hey friends, been a little bit, but I'm back out here in the garage. Had some other priorities come up for a little while, spent a few weeks taking care of some other things, but I have been piecing together my exhaust on the car like we've been started working on. I'll show you guys how it's come out here. I have my driver's side almost completely done, and you can see where it comes out, kind of follows the frame rail and then tucks in. And there we go. And pay no attention to my pan of transmission fluid. I don't know what's going on there. Anyway, you can see where it goes up over the axle in the back of the car there. And I'll show you where it exits out the back. Right there. And it seems like, when you look at it from this angle, it sure seems like there's a lot of exhaust pipe coming out. But when you look at it from this angle, it seems like just about the right amount. Because I certainly don't want to get it too close to where my exhaust fumes go inside the car. I want them all to stay behind it. So I think I might just leave it like that for now. We'll see. A couple of things I had to do. One was I had to pull my brake lines off because my union of where my rear brake line came in and went out to each of the wheels was right where I needed that exhaust pipe to run, of course. So I had to take those brake lines off. I'm gonna have to do a little brake line building. And yeah, that's it. So I got them in. Now where are we at? Well, I got to repeat it for the other side, and I'll show you a little bit of what I'm dealing with. You guys saw all the bends before and everything, and it's funny, this little Model A is short enough that I didn't need any straight pipe. All my whole driver's side exhaust came out of all the bends and the muffler. So I still have in the box over there my 4-foot lengths. I have 4-4-foot lengths of 2 1/4 inch pipe, which I won't use on this. Okay, so it was kind of a pain to get that built the way it was, but I learned a few lessons along the way. Follow along now as I'm going to walk you through each kind of little trick and step as I build the exhaust for the passenger side of the car. Here we go. Okay, first things first, these headers, I got them off eBay. They were less than $100, or maybe right at $100 for the pair of them. And they came pretty good because they came with gaskets and these great big thick plates and these collectors if we're going to use, like I'm going to do, the exhaust setup down here. So I think it was worth the money, even though they're kind of cheap looking. They were worth the money for it. Okay, first things first though, with this guy, this little collector, I'm having some trouble making it fit onto my pipe. And this is the first thing I ran into, because this 90 degree has to come out of that lake pipe there. It actually lines up pretty good with the big part of the pipe, but that's too long. I need this collector to be like down here so I keep it nice and tight, which means I'm dealing with that much slack in there, and I don't want to just fill that up with welds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to trim this guy back a little ways, and then I'm going to come in and put some relief cuts in it and split it a few times to shrink it down to where it just wants to grab this pipe just at the right size. And then we'll tack it in place, and then when we go to welding everything up, we'll just finish weld that. That's what I did on the other side, and you can see I think it came out okay. I mean, you look at it close, you can see what I did, but I think it'll be all right. So, and you can see actually here what I'm trying to do. I want this to come out right into the 90, and then keep it nice and tight. I only have about a ½ inch underneath the body there, and then a little bit of gap between it and the frame. So, okay, one trick here, if I want to draw a straight line all the way around this thing, I mean, I can come in, I can measure and mark it stuff, or I could just use this strip. My buddy Zach showed me this quick one for doing exhaust. This is square, as in sides are parallel. It's the same size, so when I come around and I line it up on my piece of pipe that I want to cut, come down to my mark, and you can see right there, there we go. I line it up, and as long as it lines up nice and square, then I know my cut's going to be square all the way around this. So there we go, and then I can just come in here with my marker, just like that, and get to cutting. Now, there we go, pretty straight line. Cutting's the other thing. I have a chop saw. It does a pretty good job, but it gets weird cutting stuff like this, like trying to get close to an angle or a little piece that doesn't fit in there. So to be honest, I've just been using the death wheel on the old Harbor Freight grinder and going to town and honestly making all my cuts. It goes pretty quick, it's pretty easy. Okay, I got her all rigged up in there, ready to cut. While I'm doing this, I'm going to give a quick shout out to my dad. He came over last weekend. We went up to a swap meet. We had a great time hanging out. It was good seeing him, and he left his gloves in my truck. So thanks, Dad. I needed a good set of leather gloves for the shop. Oh, and as always, eyewear. ESS Eye Safety Systems Eye Pro, the best you can find out there on the market. I recommend getting yourself a pair. Clear lenses, they're replaceable. You can just order the lenses. Lots of different styles. Highly recommend them. Okay, here's my collector piece, what it looks like. Trimmed it down for size so it matches the other side, and then obviously I put all these relief cuts in there so that it'll fit around this tube. I also went over there and kind of lined it up and marked it and got an idea. I need to do it again. There's 2 marks of how much I need to cut off so that this fits, tucks right up underneath the body and the frame there, and goes under the car. And you know, I gotta tell you guys, I don't know, you guys put a comment down below if you ever struggle with motivation. You know, it took me a long time to get that exhaust done on the driver's side, and I'm just not pumped about building this side. I know it'll go quicker, but you know, all these bends and all this and the challenge of it again, I'll tell you, that sometimes you just got to start cutting metal. Sometimes you just got to start cutting, grinding, welding, put it together, and figure it out. You just do one piece at a time. That's what I tell myself. I don't know. You guys, like I said, comment below. Let me know if you struggle with that, and tell me what you do to combat it. I am going to take a break from filming here, remark this one, and start chopping some stuff. And when I have some pieces stuck together and tacked together, I'll bring you back and show you where we're at. This episode's not going to end, though, until we fire that car up and see what it sounds like through the exhaust pipes. Okay, the other thing I do here is all these joints on this exhaust system are just going to get butt welded, okay? And this exhaust pipe's pretty good because it kind of maintains its round pretty good even through the mandrel bend if I cut it right. Anyway, but I'm going to butt weld all these together, so before I do that, I come in here on my wire wheel and I just hit it on the wire wheel and take this paint and stuff off the outside, and then I just go around on the stone real quick and I do one just kind of a little bevel around it so that when I do go to weld it together, I have a nice, there you go, you can see a nice joint to weld together. And I'm just doing this all this stuff on the MIG welder. If I had a TIG, it'd be great, I'd do it there, but it's actually pretty handy on the MIG, mainly because I can kind of get in there and hold things together and then just zap it real quick with the MIG welder. If I can't hold it and I need to clamp it, let me show you the clamp that I have for that setup. The trick is to build yourself some of these if you got to clamp it, especially if you're going to TIG it. This is almost a requirement. You can see just a couple pieces of angle iron on a C-clamp. The trick is get the C-clamp that allows you to swivel right here so that it doesn't have to spin this around. And there you go. You can throw your piece of pipe in there, clamp them down. If you're doing too close to 90s, you can cut them, trim them, whatever you need to do. But these work pretty good. My buddy Aaron that I work with showed me that trick. Alright, so I got my 2 pieces like we just kind of lined up for underneath, coming out of the header, down through this, and then into this 45. And I just laid under the car and lined them up so I thought they looked right, and then I put a little mark on them. And so now I'm just going to line those marks up and then just hit it with the old, you know, that's the noise for MIG welder. And we'll just give that a couple little tacks in place there, and then we can go back and fit it, and then we'll tack the front in place, and then we'll just keep on building to the puzzle. Get in there. There we go. See that? Bzzzt. There it is. More here. Okay, now we go fit it in the car, see if it works, and then I'll tack the front in place so that it stays in, and then we'll just keep on going, one piece at a time. Alright guys, see how we got her tacked in there. That'll look better later, don't worry. And we got it lining up the way we want here. A couple considerations. One, the biggest one being this is my transmission cooler, so I don't want my exhaust going right by it. What I think I'm going to do is I'll run it here just like on that side along the frame rail, and then what I might do is just build a little heat shield that goes in there and screw in a little, you know, just piece of sheet metal that hangs down to block the heat. So I'm happy with where it goes. I got my jack stands and mocked up my muffler into place, and I did it by some calibrated eyeballing, and as soon as I can find my tape measure, I'll put a little bit of science behind it and make sure it's in the right place. But here's where we got to go. We got to connect the dots. I got to get from here to here. So it's basically going to be something with like a 45 and then another 45 turned into the muffler up there. But this is how I do it. I just mock it up, get it in place. Once I'm happy where that is, connect the dots. And then once that's done, we'll go to the rear and we'll basically do the same thing. We'll put our tailpipe piece up, mount it in place where we like it, and then just connect the dots going up over the axle to the muffler. Again, this episode ends when we hear this engine make some noise through those exhaust pipes. Okay, well, it's after dinner and I came back outside. Oh, my wife made nachos for dinner. Oh, they're amazing. And after dinner, everybody was kind of running off doing their thing, and she was like, you can go back out to the garage, go have a good time. Nachos and garage time, so I don't know if I'm dying or what, but I'm gonna take it. Here's where we're at with the exhaust pipe. This piece fits exactly how I want to connect that first tube to my muffler. It has to do exactly this, and in fact this slips on really nice, so it actually works great just how it is, but I don't want the slip on. I want to do butt welds. So I'm just gonna come in here and I'm gonna chop these guys off, and then we're gonna kind of go back to the drawing board. I might have to come in here and take a little bit of straight or something and extend if I need to. Or I have 16 feet of straight pipe in that box over there that I can tap into if I need to. But alright, I'm gonna get busy, whack those things off there, and then line her back up and see what we need to do. Alright friends, we're back at it. It's been a few days because life. And if you can't tell by my awesome hair, it's been another one of those days. But I'm out here, I got an hour. We're gonna finish the never-ending episode where we get the exhaust on the car. So let's jump in. Last time we left off, we had the exhaust done on the car up to the end of the muffler, and now we got to do our U, or the big hump over the rear axle and out the back. So I'm going to do this in two steps. First step is I'm going to basically cut my exhaust tip like the other side and match it there, and then we're going to do like my buddy Aaron showed me here and build. I got this platform built up, and we're going to basically clamp it to it, and we're going to line everything up so we make our two ends look exactly how we want and they match, and then we're just going to connect the dots between that end and the muffler. So to start, I got to start into my U-bends here. I got this one marked halfway. I just did it pretty simple. I came in here with my tape measure, measured it. It was 9 inches to here, so I came up 4.5 inches, marked it, connected my dots, made a line. So I have this line halfway through. So this should be exactly like a 90-degree bend here. And based on how I did the other side, I know that basically I'm going to cut this and pretty much just flip this other end around. This is my tip coming out of the back of the car, up over the axle, and then we're going to tie into another, either the 90 or the U, to make our other bends on the other side. So here we go. Find the cutting wheel in this disaster. Cut this in half, and then we'll clamp it onto our block there, and we'll come back and see how we're going to connect those dots. So I started cutting this piece without filming because I thought you guys don't need to see me cutting a piece of pipe. But then I thought, yes, you do. Not only do you need to see me cut a piece of pipe with the cutting wheel, but you probably need to see a slow-mo of it. So for your viewing pleasure, here we go. Alright guys, you're welcome for all that. Here we go. So we got my piece cut, and then I just spent a whole bunch of time sitting down with my tape measure and measuring my distance here, making sure it was square, measuring my distance here, and then in there between the license plate and the tailpipes, and from the corners of the car to the tailpipes, and all those measurements to make sure they're square. And then I did the old eyeball, where I basically step back, look at it, yep, I like how they come out. Look at them here, am I happy with the way they come out? Do they look like they're perpendicular, parallel, all that good stuff, how we want them? Look at them from an angle at the side. And once I was happy with how they all looked, clamped it down, held it tight. Now we gotta come in here and connect the dots. Okay, and what I mean by that is, you can see where the end of that piece ends. I'm sorry, everything's black down here, so it's hard to see. But we can see where this piece ends. Whoops. You can see that little gap we gotta shoot through. And then right there, the muffler where it's gotta connect. And yes, that's my battery cable and my fuel line right there. So those are gonna get relocated. Okay, so now you can see how the scientific process goes of putting those pieces of pipe in place, holding them there, and then looking at them. Which is exactly what I'm doing here. I can't get it to sit on there exactly square, but that's pretty close. I come around to this side. Come around to this side. There we go, yep. I think this is going to work out pretty good. Alright, so here we are. We're so close I can taste it. I've got my loop going up. It's not the best joint, but it'll work. And then it comes back down. Now all I need obviously is a 90 to come out of the muffler into this guy. So we'll go up to the workbench, see which one makes the most sense. We'll come down here and kind of slip fit it in because this 2 1/4 will slide right inside. This is 2 1/4 OD versus ID, so it'll slide right in there. And then we'll just kind of eyeball it, and then we'll end up coming back and marking this, chopping it, chop the other one, put it in there and have that loop done. Hopefully have it done pretty quick so I can get it done tonight. Here we go. All right, we'll let the smoke clear on that tack weld, and there you can see the dots are connected from my end piece coming out where I want, up and over into the muffler. Now, if anybody's curious, this thing, no, if I welded this all up solid, I would never be able to get it out of the car. So this joint is going to be clamped like that and have a tack weld on it. And I'll do the same thing here. Once I get it all off, finish weld, and then paint it all. And once I'm all done, I'll put a clamp on it and then just put a spot weld or a couple spot welds on there to hold it in place. And that way it doesn't rattle loose on me. And we're going to go with it. So, one more day and we're going to finish weld, grind, and prep it, and at least fire it up, because this episode ends when we hear the car run through this exhaust, which we're real close to. Okay, back at it here again for another day. I've actually been working out here a little bit, but I want to catch up to where we are with this exhaust. So I put my hanger on here, and don't worry, it's not going to dangle down that low. I'm going to come in and kind of bend it around a little bit, cut it, and weld it up against there. Hopefully it's no drama with it welded to the muffler. We'll see, time will tell. That'll be a problem for future Joe. Okay, and so I got cut off there because the battery died. No big deal, I'm gonna let you sit here and charge. Now that exhaust pipe's gotta come back out, both the front end and the back end, and I've just got a bunch of dirty work. I gotta sit here with the MIG welder and my grinder and just go to town. I'm gonna weld each one of those up and then knock it down the welds real quick with the grinder. I'll bring you guys back when I have this stuff all welded, and I'll show you how the welds came out and ground down and everything. Alright, it's been about an hour and I've just been welding like crazy. I've got some nice big ugly booger welds from my MIG welder all the way out. You can see how I had to come in here and stitch up my all the relief cuts I put in there to make that collector, which I think was a 2.5 ID to the 2 1/4 OD exhaust pipe connection there. So anyway, so I just did a bunch of relief cuts, pushed it in there, tapped it in with a hammer, brought them all down close, zipped those all up. Now that it's all welded, I just got to attack it with a grinder, but it's dinner time, actually a little bit past dinner time, so I got to get in and get busy. And hopefully tomorrow night I'll have time to grind all those, bolt it all in. Yeah, maybe I'll paint it first and then bolt it in. Anyway, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Whew. Alright guys, we're almost there. This is my garage floor after grinding everything off, all my welds there. And you know, most of you guys probably don't have to have that big of a mess on your garage floor from grinding. But if you weld like I do, you end up with that much crap on the floor. So, man, the good news is I'm done welding and grinding on these things. And I just got excited because I realized I can take these things and shove them under there. Test fit them one more time. Both sides, button them all up, clamp them down, and fire up the car. Why not, huh? Alrighty, we're buttoned up. She needs some fine tuning, obviously, and I'm still gonna pull it all off. I gotta trim this hanger off on this one, weld that up a little bit better, finish weld on this muffler, and then paint both sides of the exhaust. But she's in there. I like it how it's tucked up, about as close as I can to the frame. It's not the lowest thing hanging down. When you get back like this, you can't even see it. And then out the back, I like how it comes out the back. I may trim these back just a little bit, half an inch maybe. I don't know, put a comment down below and tell me what you think. Oh, yeah. And here's this side. Nice and tucked up. I like it. All right, this thing's been down for over a month since I fired it up last, so you guys will get to see a little cold start action as well. Let's see how this thing runs, man. I'm excited. Let's see how it sounds out this new exhaust. Here we go. Sounds pretty rad. Thanks for sticking with me on this one. It's a long one. I appreciate all the support you guys give me. I love this community. Let's keep building it. See you guys on the next one.